Welcome back, everybody. This is my 2024 year in review. Going over, first go over December, how December was, and then we'll go over the full 2024, and then we'll go over some plans and changes for 2025 I plan on implementing. All right, so starting with December, here we are. December was my best month yet at 76,000. Started the month off strong with a nice five-figure day, but quickly fell into a bit of a hole here. Um, Ending that week actually in the red. Then a somewhat solid second week, bit of a shaky third week, and then week number four really brought it home with 47 or 48,000 there, and then ending the month strong on the last 2 days as well. Um, 17,600. That was my second largest red day, but at one point on that day I was down 20,000. So I was not happy with that result right there. I really do need to be tightening up these red days. This could be easily over 100,000 on the month if those red days get tightened just a little bit. So moving forward, let's go to the 2024 review. Finishing the year with 290,000. And most of that actually coming from the last 4 months. We've had a strong last 4 months since September, and yeah, I had 5 red months this year, which was really disappointing. Most of these were small red months, only $1,000 in the red. This one's red just because of fees would make that red. And then one actual red month of 13,000. So March was a struggle, and then I fell into a bit of a slump here through April, May, and June. July was a slow green month, and then August also red. And then September started booming ahead. I remember I started September off with a $10,000 green day, and from then that point forward, I've just kind of been on this higher share size moving forward. If I go into the calendar page here, you'll see that the year actually started off pretty poorly, going into a bit of a drawdown to start the year in January, picking it back up and ending the year, ending that month green with a nice solid last week of the month. February, I had my best day ever at 55,000, uh, and that made up a majority of my profit on the month. That month was also pretty much break even except for that one day. I had another $32,000 day here, but I also had my biggest loss day here as well. Um, so yeah, this was a lot of red days, a lot of green days. It's more of a 50-50 spread between the red and green days. It should be more of like a 80-20 spread, which is what I'll be shooting for next year. Um, yeah, so that was February. We have March. March was just almost fully red. I barely could get anything on the green days. $500, $6, $86, and just really not getting anything put together in March. This was a very slow market for me. Um, yeah, the red days were a little bit smaller at 2,000 and 3,000, except for one red day right there that got away from me. But for the amount of red days compared to green days, I'm happy it's only 13,000 in the red. April tightened up the amount of red days, but the red days size compared to the green day size was pretty poor. Um, so $6,000 red day there, $4,000 red day there, 4,000 there, 3,000 there, but the green days were only 400 and 1,000. So this was also really break even month for me. I was in a real slump here through the mid second quarter of the year. Another break even month here, even with a $12,000 day there. Just too many large red days where I'm breaking max loss early on in the month. Same thing with June, just too many red days that are above max loss. July, I think I had a green month. Yeah, but still not doing that well. August, small red month. And then September is where stuff started taking off. Started the month with $10,000 green day. Took the next day off. Um, and then from that point forward, started getting into a rhythm here. First 3 weeks of the month was up 53,000. A little bit of a trip there at the end, but I got it back within one day. October, this one started off pretty sketchy as well, just like December did. But middle of the month picked it back up, got to green, 51,000 on October. November, 43,000. Also started the month in the red. Interesting. I'm noticing a pattern on these last 4 months of starting it in the red. Yeah. Okay. So that's the calendar view. Let's go to the detailed stats. Up 289 and some change on the year with an average daily gain of 1,200. About 3 million shares of volume per day on average, which is equates to about $300 a day in commission or in um, FINRA and SEC fees. So the way it works out is the math works out to where it's about $100 of fees for every million shares of volume. That's how I kind of look at it. So I have about $300 a day in fees, putting me at about $900 a day net profit. 40% accuracy. My accuracy is down from last year. I think last year I was sitting at 44 or 46% accuracy. So my accuracy has gone down quite significantly. My average winner and loser have gone up significantly, and the number of trades I've taken also has gone up. The year in total has been very shaky, ending at all-time highs. But after that push of those two really big green days in February, I went into a 7 month slump where I didn't get back to all-time highs until almost end of September when I was in middle of February when I started the slump. So it took about 7 months to get out of this $60,000 drawdown. A couple more drawdowns later in the year, 30,000 there, 40,000 there, 30,000 here. But these all took a little bit less time to get out of. I was using much larger size at this point, so these drawdowns were I don't want to say acceptable, but they were um I was using enough size where I could get out of these drawdowns within 4 or 5 days, 6 days. Versus here, I was down 60,000 and still only using like $500 to $1,000 a day daily goals. So it was going to take a couple months to get out of this, and it did end up taking from the low there in May. Took about 4 months to get out of that hole. Now let's see here. Price and volume. I did the best on stocks under $2, doing almost 400,000 on those, and actually losing on everything else. So going forward this next year, I want to primarily focus on only stocks above or below $2. It seems to be the only thing that's really working for me, so I think I'm just going to cut these out and not focus on them. Even last year, majority of like 95% of my profit came from stocks under $2 as well. So the fact that that trend is continuing this year means that I'm still not really ready to trade stocks above $2. I don't know. I'm just not profitable on them. So it might be time to throw in the towel on them and just give up on them, or at least until I have more time to learn them in like a side time where I'm studying. But yeah, so next this 2025 we're gonna be focusing on only stocks under $2. Occasionally we might trade something that's above $2 if it's like halting a lot. I do like my halting stocks. Whether halting up on volatility, I do like those. Um, Days in time, did the best on Mondays, accounting for about half of my profit on the year. Tuesdays are very, very little profit. Not sure what that's about. I know last year, Mondays were also my best, and it went Monday and Friday were my best, and then Tuesday and Wednesday were my second best, and Wednesday was my least. So I had this like U-shaped graph. But this year it looks like Monday just kind of carried the entire weight of my profits, and then Tuesday was very little. Something I experimented this year with was trading Power Hour. About 60,000 of my profits comes from Power Hour this year. Um, and it's something it was an experiment this year, but I think I'm going to go ahead and continue to implement that full time in trading Power Hour. It's an extra hour of my day, but it is actually I'm actually more profitable in the Power Hour than I am at the Open. So I think if I can lean into that as well, I can maybe get some nice short squeezes going into the close of each day. I know sometimes Power Hour is just completely dead, but it's an hour of my time. I think if it's dead, it's fine to be there just for the opportunity of being there. Um, so green at the Open, mostly green at 10 to 11, and then coming down here, um, red in the pre-market. So I want to get rid of trading pre-market for now. So start at the open, go until around 12, and then trading power hour and maybe a little bit of after hours to try and test Ross's strategy a little bit with his after. He does pre-market trading, but maybe I can try and do the same thing after hours. Not sure about that yet, but power hour I definitely do want to trade. There's definitely profit there to be made. Performance by month of the year. We already did this. Had about 5 red months. I really want to make sure I don't have any red months next year. Um, yeah, so let's go ahead and look at which one was it? Win-loss days. All right, so we had 149 green days, 94 red days. I do not like that. I had basically 8 red days a month. Um, average Average daily gain on the green days, 4,800. Average daily loss on the red days, 4,600. So my red and green days are about the same, with my green days being a little bit bigger. And I have a little bit more green days than red days. I'd like to cut this number in half for next year, maybe have 4 red days a month. I think that's acceptable. And then all those red days becoming green days would lead to me having a lot more profit over here as well. Um, You can see here the difference between my red and green days is my green days are a little bit more accurate at 42% versus 37%, and my green days have a bit of a better profit loss ratio at 1.75% or 1.75 versus almost 1 to 1, 1 to 1.2. The fees, you can ignore those. Those are inaccurate. My fees on the year are around 75,000. Um, yeah, it's traded a lot more share size this year, and my fees are just reflecting that. About $300 a day in fees, 250 trading days, about 75,000 in fees. Um, so my 2025 plans. Moving forward, I'd like to take the experiment of Power Hour and turn it into a full-time thing I'm implementing. I want to see how much profit that produces on the year next year and see because this year it was about a fourth of my profit was from Power Hour, and I only traded Power Hour for, let's see if I go ahead and click on this. I only traded Power Hour for a few days, like not even full time. I was just experimenting throughout the year. And I think if I did made that more of a regular thing, look the profit factor is 1.7 versus 1.07. So I'm much more profitable, almost at 50% win rate per hour. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with just being more selective in power hour. I don't want to give back gains from the morning session, so I'm a little bit more cautious in power hour. Um, and on average, every single day I came into power hour, I was making about 2,000 in that hour. So that is something to be mindful of. One of my biggest gains came from power hour on a squeeze last week. If I go here, yeah, so last week there was a nice squeeze power hour where I was able to get 18 or 19,000 just before the holidays. Uh, if I go to, yeah, so something I do want to experiment, or not experiment, implement full time now is trading power hour. That'd be nice. Also, I want to go ahead and remove this. And go over here. I want to decrease the amount of drawdowns I have and how large they are and how long I'm in them for. So between this year and last year, I don't know if I can do that. Compare maybe. Let me try and do a comparison between this year and last year. Last year versus this year. Did it work? Last year versus this year. Oh, it's not working. Okay. Last year, let's go 2023 versus this year. Okay, so what was I looking for? Yeah, so accuracy went down, but also I wanted to look right here. The drawdowns. Last year, my largest drawdown was around 11,000. Yes, I was using less size, but I wasn't using less size at the beginning of the year. Or, um, I wasn't using like drastically more size at the beginning of the year this year either. But I found myself in a really large $60,000 hole without using larger size. So I'm not sure why that hole got so big. I'm pretty sure it was just I put myself in a pretty big hole to start at the beginning of or end of February. Had my largest red day ever at around 17,000, and then from there I didn't know how to recover that on $1,000 days, or $500 days because that um, loss looked like it was going to take forever to recover out of. I think I started swinging Hail Marys, and it just kind of made me chop around for quite some time without um, taking the time to just take it one day at a time. Um, so I think that would have resulted in a much faster recovery period for this drawdown because I know once I got out of the $60,000 drawdown, the next bigger drawdown I got out of in 5 days, um, or in like a week or two. And the one after that took about the same amount of time, and the one after that took yeah, about the same amount of time, about a week, 2 weeks. So I'm getting pretty good at getting out of drawdowns, um, and having the mindset to get out of a drawdown. This getting out of this $60,000 drawdown has really changed my perspective on how to get out of drawdowns. So I think I won't have a problem with getting out of drawdowns next year. Um, I just want to make sure I'm not digging them too deep. So next year I want to be able to, when I have a red day, if it's an abnormally large red day, I want to make sure that the next day I'm coming in with half size or quarter size, just booking a green day, and then moving forward throughout that week or the next week, slowly getting that red day back. And not having these periods where I am negative confidence, negative emotions because I'm in a hole. I think when you're trading at all-time highs, you're usually trading at your best. So I want to make sure I have less periods where I'm in a hole because when you're at all-time highs, you're usually at all-time high confidence. You're usually pushing good share size as well, and that usually just produces more profits. So having less periods where I'm in drawdowns. Um, this next year, I'd also like to have less red days. Currently, I'm having around 8 red days a month. And I think I can do a lot better. Even this last month, December, the month started off pretty horribly with 3 red days in a week, and then the next 2 weeks had 2 red days. Um, but then I went into like a nice little 9 day stretch here where I didn't have any red days. And on some of these days, I know I was definitely red, but I was able to recover and end the day green, whether it be $800, even 35. I know this was probably red after fees, but in my eyes, it was green because it was green gross profit. Um, yeah, I just want to be able to make sure I have less red days. And I think the way I'm going to go about doing that is staying smaller size at the beginning of the day so I don't dig a huge hole to start the day. I think starting the day down $2,000, $3,000 is just a recipe for getting more and more emotional in that day. Um, so if I start the day and I'm down like $400, $500, I think that's where it's time to be like, okay, let's get back to green before we do anything stupid and size up. Um, and I think having only 4 red days a month should lead to having 0 red months next year. So that's also something I'd like to improve on. I don't like how I had almost half the year red this year. That 7 month drawdown was really significant. It really put a damper on my mental health, just being kind of um, just sad most days during that drawdown. And then just because of that, not being confident in putting size into anything I saw. So yeah, I think handling drawdowns better next year will definitely improve my overall trading health, mental health, just not being in a hole as much. I know that was a bit of a rant, but yeah. Another thing, last thing, for 2025 plans. I had 9 days off last year where I did not take any trades and the market was open. Um, I'd like to significantly reduce that. I want to make sure I'm only taking 2 or 3 days off this next year. That means if I accidentally oversleep, uh, maybe I miss the morning session, but making sure I come in on power hour to make sure I still have my numbers for that day. Um, and making sure I'm getting to bed on time. Um, or just like planning ahead for the next day. So if I need 8 hours of sleep, I need to go ahead and get to bed around 11, making sure I'm waking up at 7 for the market open at 8:30. Um, so yeah, I had 9 days off last year. Want to make sure I get only 2 or 3 days off this next year, whether that be for travel or vacationing or accidentally oversleeping. All right, so those are the 2025 plans there. Um, Making sure we're trading power hour, decreasing drawdown periods, half the number of red days by starting out smaller on the day, leading to 0 red months and taking off less time. All right, so I'll be back tomorrow for a live stream in the morning. Take care, everybody, and hope you guys have a great 2025. Looking forward to it. Let's try and hit let's see, maybe let's set the profit target at conservatively, I'll say 500,000, but realistically, I want to try and get to 4,000 a day and try and hit that 1 million. I think I have what it takes to do it, especially now that I'm having multiple 5 figure days a month. I think I definitely have what it takes to get that seven-figure year, but I just need to be able to tighten up the red days, making sure they don't snowball early. And I'm actually been able to recover a lot of red days. I know, I believe Monday last week, or yeah, Monday 2 days ago, was a $4,000 red day before I turned it around. I know how to turn around red days. I just make sure that they don't get so big where I can't turn them around. All right. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Happy New Year's. Happy holidays. And I'll see you tomorrow.